In my most recent video, I talked about the ages in Genesis, the old ages, the 900, 800, 700, 600, the really old ages that start from Methuselah's the oldest. What is it, 969 years? But it starts off with Adam, 930 years. And of course, the video shows how I've identified those as code pieces. However, I still get comments from people who say, you know what, if you convert those to months, it'll straighten out. That Adam actually was like 77 years old or 77 and a half years old or something when he died, that it becomes more reasonable. And that is just so poorly thought out. And I want to show you why. First of all, the Bible is big. You can't take one date and say, let me adjust that in this manner. Look what happens. Do you do that with all of them? I'm going to grab a couple of examples and show why that's not a good idea. My name is Dan Paulson. Welcome to the video. I'm approaching this as a scholar. I see patterns in the Bible, and I am studying what those patterns are. Years converted to months is not what they're doing. Let's see what happens if we try that. All right, what I have here is a downloaded copy of the Bible, the King James Version. And if you look right here, what I have is part of a lineage. I've just copied from Genesis and put it here on a clean sheet of paper so I can do my own work with it here. So I copied and pasted verse 3, 4, and 5 here from that lineage, from the Adam to Noah lineage. And it says this, and Adam lived 130 years and then had a son that was like him, and that was like him, and named him Seth. And then after Adam had Seth, he lived another 800 years and then had more sons and daughters. And so all the days that he lived were 930 years and he died. What I want to talk about for a second here is observing verbal clues. And when you look at something like this, what you see is somebody has put two numbers down and then they added those numbers up for you doing the math. They've done something that's unnecessary. And they've done it throughout here in a repetitive manner. I look at these as attention-getting devices. There's times that you read things that are repeated in certain ways that they're said too many times. The Sodom farm, I liken that to something that sounds like Dr. Seuss sometimes. If you read that, will you destroy it for the sake of 40 righteous? I will not for 40 righteous. 30 righteous? No, I won't. 20? No, I won't. Will you destroy it for 20 righteous? No, I won't. I won't destroy it for 10 righteous, Abraham. I will not destroy it. It just sounds funny. And you look at that and go, what are they saying there? It's really strange. Those are attention getting. This is a puzzle and it's being carried verbally. And you have all of the clues within the puzzle in the verbiage, in repeating verbiage. Is how they're nesting clues in here. So we're going to reason through a couple of things here using mental processes to do this. What I've done is I've taken these 130, 800, 930, and then just put them down here in this manner. 130 years, 800 years old. You add those together and you get 930 years old total. I put them in this format, 130, 800, 930. So if we wanted to convert that 930 years, divide by 12, it would be 77.5 years old. What happens if we use that for the rest of the rest of the ages in Adam's lineage here for Adam? That would mean that at 800 years old, he was really 66 and a half years old, that's when he died, about 66.6 years. And that at 130, if we do that, 130 divided by 12, that would have meant that he was 10.8 years old when he had Seth. So if we reworded that to what you are suggesting as a conversion, it would say, and Adam lived 10.8 years and had a son that was like him. And then after he lived another 66.6 years, then he begat sons and daughters. And then he died after 77.5 years. So we need to believe then that 10.8 years here is how old Adam was before he had his first son. Is that possible? I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. It wouldn't have been for me. I think that's a little bit early for most kids. I don't think that's kind of pre-puberty. Okay, and then by the same token, if you were to say, well, 10.8 is too young, I'm not going to do that, we won't convert that one, we'll leave that one at 130 years. That would mean that he was 130 years old when he had his son, and then he was younger when he had more sons and daughters, and and still he was younger when he died. It's obviously not going to work. The question becomes, how do you maintain consistency in interpretation, and how do you interpret these? If you just take the easy way out and call that one 930 years months, and people go, okay, that's it, then they're not looking very far, and you're not either. Okay. Let's take another one. If we're using that same procedure, we've got Enoch here was 365 years old when he died. If we did the same thing, if we did the conversion, because, well, 365, that doesn't work either. Let's use that same process. And if we did, and we converted everything to months, then that would mean that Enoch was 5.4 years old when he had Methuselah, and he was 25 years old when he had sons and daughters, and then he was 30.4 years old when he died. That's, you start running into, right away, you look at that and see, no, that's not going to work. The numbers don't add up. It's a very easy thing to say, well, that one, if you just do this, it works. And people that don't look into it and don't read it, they might go, oh, that makes perfect sense. If you look through and read it all, you go, that doesn't make any sense at all. Now, there's other things that people are coming up with. They're real. I'm not going to debate that here. But the one about the dates, you just look at a few of them side by side, do the math, and you go, nope, that's not it. They're not accidentally putting the amount of months there and calling it years in that one place or through Genesis. No, that's not what's happening. And again, from my analysis, I see a lot of patterns in the background that I'm analyzing that I'm not going to talk about it here, but these are just, as I go collect all of those numbers and start doing something different with them. And this just comes about by intense curiosity and experimentation, but eventually I take all of those numbers and I don't call them compound numbers. If there's a 969, I call that a 900 and a 60 and a 9. 930 is a 900 and it is 30. Once we do that, something else happens. I find out things like the word 900 is used 7 times. 800 is used 7 times. 30 is used 7 times. There's part of a grid, a 3-7 grid showing up. You read the Bible, how many things are 3 and 7s? Or 30s and 70s, or 3,000s and 7,000s. The 3s and the 7s feature incredibly in here. And if we start looking through here, we're going to start seeing number sequences and patterns that are emerging in these. I'm calling them analog farms. I'm not going to get into it here. Here's another one that is right after the Babel story. But again, we see we've got our repeating numbers down here that are continually sequencing from other places. And this is simply a collection of them. They're actually doing something. If we get down to the Sodom analog farm, we find righteous is said 7 times. It's part of that. Abraham at some point, 5 has been made one of the analogs as well. And then we get this numbering sequence down here that are all being added to, well, the pool of numbers. Yeah, there's something going on with the numbering in the background, and it's even deeper than what I'm showing you right here. That's what I'm working on. It is so big, it's just not easy to show. And it's hard for me to understand it. So my videos get kind of long and boring sometimes as I'm trying to figure it out. Okay. Hope the video was interesting. Yeah. Look at something different. We're standing too close to it. If we're trying to call those literal, we're not seeing something. Step back and start counting something bigger. We don't have these memorized. We can't see that stuff. Have to use the computer to dig into it. And then something else begins to emerge. It's a lot harder than just trying to figure out how old somebody was. There's something else in there. All right. See you in the next video.